שלום לכל האמיצים שהגיעו לכאן למרות הסופה, ההוריקן שבחוץ. מתוך 160 משתתפים הגיעו כמעט 40, שזה ממש לא רע. ואני מקווה שיהיה לכם שווה. I'll move to English now. It's just saying hi and congratulating those brave ones who came here despite the storm outside. We are going, for those of you who don't know the MIT Enterprise Forum, I manage the MIT Enterprise Forum of Israel, which is one of 28 chapters around the world. Bruce, who will soon take over the microphone, was the chairperson of the MIT Enterprise Forum in New York, and that's how we met about 5 years ago in one of the worldwide meetings. We currently have chapters in Lebanon, in Spain, Turkey, Greece, and Moscow. We have chapters in South America. It's a very interesting organization, and of course, many chapters in North America. What we're going to discuss today, we're going to discuss the ecosystems in Tel Aviv and in New York in the context of the new collaboration which we are launching today between the MIT Enterprise Forum and Pace University Entrepreneurship Lab. Bruce Bachenheimer started the Entrepreneurship Lab at Pace. Pace is in Manhattan. And I'll let him speak about what he's going to offer. So Bruce, will you please take the mic? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ayla. Thank you, and thanks for coming out and the MIT Enterprise Forum of Israel for hosting us, and especially Ayla, who's been such an incredible resource over the last 3 or 4 years. I thought what I would do today is just, there's 2 parts. One is just talk a little bit about this new program, Pace University, the Entrepreneurship Lab, and the program. And we'll also hear from 2 companies that are in a pilot version of the program. We're officially launching it today, but in order to try to figure out how to run it, the application and selection process and all the policies, we brought in 2 companies, and they're both going to speak. So again, as Ayla said, I'm Bruce Bachenheimer. I'm a clinical professor of management at Pace University and the executive director of the Entrepreneurship Lab. I'm not a typical academic. I started my career on Wall Street. I started a couple companies in the US and overseas. I worked in all different fields in government contracting on a forensic firearms identification system where I brought it to 25 countries around the world, including in Israel. They didn't use a system that I worked on, but through the Middle East. I was in Egypt, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, Abu Dhabi, Dubai, Kuwait, etc. And then I started teaching about a dozen years ago and have a passion for it and really love doing it. So to forward to the next, do I have to? And then you click the button, the blue button. Okay. Okay. I thought that was the title screen. So let me tell you just a little bit about Pace University. So Pace was founded just over 100 years ago in 1906. It was started as a business school, mainly accounting and law, and it's grown into a university with 6 schools and colleges. The business school is where I'm based, but there's a number of other schools. And believe it or not, back in the 1980s, it was the largest business school in the world. The MBA class alone was about 5,000 students. There was an enrollment of about 25,000. So this is the main campus in downtown New York, right at the foot of the Brooklyn Bridge, across the street from City Hall. And there's currently about 13,000 students in the university. So 3 years ago, we launched a entrepreneurship lab. And I'll just show you a few pictures to get a feel for the facility. PBS, Public Broadcasting, was filming a show called SciTech Now. It should be on TV nationally in a month or 2. But I just took some pictures while they were filming. So this is one of the offices. We have a private meeting room, a video studio, collaborative workspace, and then a larger, we could hold classes or small meetings in this room. So that's the basic facility, but where did this program start from? So PACE's entrepreneurship program was actually formally launched in 1979, so it's 35 years old. It's one of the earliest in the country. In 2008, I decided to do a speaker series on technology, innovation, and entrepreneurship in Israel. I'd received several requests from the consulate in New York to do these types of programs and to lead a trip to Israel. And then like I'm sure all of you are familiar with and read, I read Startup Nation and had some connections with one of the authors and decided, let me do this program, which Ayla helped and actually flew over to be the keynote speaker. Yaron Galai, Ron Harnevo, Amiad Solomon, great talks. Yaron, chairman now of Outbrain, I think they're about to do an IPO either this quarter or next quarter for $1 billion. Ron Harnevo sold 5 Minute Media to AOL. He's the president of it. I think Amiad is back here now. But it generated a lot of interest, and it was really well attended. So I decided to do a course, an international field study course to Israel, and we had a second set of speakers, including Nili Shalev from the government, and brought them 3 years ago this month to Israel. It was 10 students, and we had all kinds of meetings and all throughout the country. I had students keep an online field study journal in the form of a blog that was read and some great impressions. This is Avi Mizrahi, who's a aluf, I guess a general here, and he was a PACE alumni. And we met about a dozen PACE alumni we had a breakfast with. So that trip was really successful. And this is a PACE alum, Michael Dezer, who immigrated from Israel to New York in the 60s and graduated from PACE in 1968. And he's a very successful real estate developer. So in New York, like Chelsea, which is one of the hottest areas, he's the largest landowner. And in Miami, and I think he has a sister city here in Netanya. So he donated $1 million. He was impressed with the Entrepreneurship Lab and the trip to Israel, and he specified that $250,000 should go for some kind of startup, the program we're announcing today. So this Israel Entrepreneurship Initiative. And just to show you, you're going to hear from Yael, who's in the audience, and Mike, who's a pediatrician in New York. This is one of the companies, and this is my graduate assistant and one of the students that are working on the project, BioGenCell, which is a very exciting stem cell therapy that you'll hear about. The second one, you'll also hear from Ronan Gaffney, who founded Fresh Biz, a game to think entrepreneurial, and just published a book, The New Entrepreneurs. You'll hear from him. This is an activity we did, like a book signing, and this was a research in the game. So just to very quickly tell you about the program, we don't exactly know what it is. That's why we're doing a pilot. But basically, 2 goals. One is to bring 2 Israeli startups a year to give them a home base in New York. It's not like a shared workspace, but the resources of the Entrepreneurship Lab. But also for our students to give them this great hands-on experiential education where they could work with some startups. So what's nice is the person you saw, John, he actually had a mid to senior level finance position at Johnson & Johnson. He's one of the student interns for BioGenCell, and the other one is a pre-med student. So we were able to get some great students. We pay them, the highest we're allowed to pay them, and make the lab facilities available. So if you're in New York and you need a place to have a meeting, you need a place to use the internet, to charge your phone, to do whatever, or to hold an event. We'll organize an event. And then for mentorship, aside from the resource of myself and other people at the lab, there's a lot of connections. So aside from, I'm on the board of the MIT Enterprise Forum, I was on the global board, but I do work with a lot of other entrepreneurial organizations in New York. If you want to hear more about that, we have entrepreneurship at the bar on Monday evening. So the lab is we have all kinds of events, pitch contests, business plan competitions, app design contests, guest speakers, panel discussions, roundtables, fireside chats, workshops, seminars, simulations, video library, students, faculties, alumni, grants, scholarships. In addition to this grant for Israel, I got 2 other grants this last semester, one from Blackstone to train military veterans in entrepreneurship, and another one just to give money to students who have an idea so they could test their concept. So if you want any information, it's pace.edu/elab, E-L-A-B. And for this program specifically, it's you'll see all the link right there, but it's pace.edu/Dezer, D-E-Z-E-R, D-E-Z-E-R for Michael Dezer. So I'm going to also speak about the New York City entrepreneurial ecosystem, and I'll try to make that as interesting and exciting as possible. But I think first we're going to hear from the 2 other people that are in the pilot program, Ronen and Yael. So should I just hit escape and bring up in order, I guess, Yael? So I pass the microphone.